Most people assume survival situations happen to someone else, to hikers who go too deep into the wilderness, to adventurers taking unnecessary risks, not to ordinary people driving home on a Tuesday or camping 20 minutes from a highway. But the truth is, most survival emergencies don't announce themselves. They happen fast, in familiar places, to completely unprepared people. A car breaks down in winter on a remote road. A day hike takes a wrong turn and the sun starts going down. A storm knocks out power for days. None of these require extreme circumstances. They just require being in the wrong place at the wrong time without the right knowledge. Here's what separates the people who make it through those situations from the ones who don't. It's almost never gear. It's almost never physical strength. It's knowledge, and most of it can be learned in an afternoon, remembered for a lifetime, and applied by anyone regardless of age or fitness level. We're going through all 7 today. One of them, number 7, is the most important of all, and most survival guides barely mention it. Stay with this until the end, because the last skill is the one that makes every other skill actually work. Because one of these skills can save your life in less than an hour, and another can keep you alive for days. Most people think food is the first priority when they're in trouble. It isn't. The human body can survive 3 weeks without food, but starts breaking down within 3 days without water. And in hot conditions, that window closes faster. Dehydration impairs judgment before it impairs the body, which means the longer you go without water, the worse your decisions get. The rule most people get wrong: clear does not mean safe. A mountain stream can look perfectly clean and be carrying giardia or bacteria that will make you violently ill within hours. Think about someone stranded after a car breakdown in summer heat. They spot a creek nearby and drink without thinking. Within hours, they're sick, not saved. That single decision turned a minor inconvenience into a medical emergency. Moving water is safer than still water. Look for streams flowing downhill away from roads and farmland. In dry environments, follow animal tracks and look for green vegetation, both signal water nearby. Once you find it, boil it. 1 full minute at a rolling boil, 3 minutes at high altitude. If you can't boil, purification tablets work well and belong in any emergency kit. A cloth can strain visible debris as a true last resort, but it does not make water safe. Start looking early. By the time you're seriously thirsty, you're already behind. Water buys you time, but if the temperature drops tonight, and in most environments it will, water alone won't keep you alive. That's where fire becomes the difference between a difficult night and a dangerous one. Fire keeps you warm, purifies water, signals rescuers, and gives you a psychological anchor. A fire is proof you're doing something, and in the disorientation of being lost, that matters more than people realize. You need 3 things: fuel, air, and ignition. Start with tinder, dead grass, birch bark, dried leaves, lint from your pockets. Build a small nest of it. Add kindling, thin, dry twigs, no thicker than a pencil. Then larger fuel, arranged loosely so air can flow through. Stacking wood too tightly smothers the flame before it takes hold. For ignition, carry a lighter. They weigh nothing and cost almost nothing. Waterproof matches are next. After that, a ferro rod is your most reliable backup in wet conditions. The most common mistake is rushing when you're cold and frustrated. Slow down. Collect more tinder than you think you need. A fire built right the first time beats 5 failed attempts every time. You have water. You have fire. Now, before darkness falls, you need shelter, because exposure can kill faster than either thirst or hunger. Hypothermia can set in at temperatures well above freezing. All it needs is wind, moisture, and a body losing heat faster than it can produce it. Your shelter doesn't need to be comfortable. It needs to be small, insulated, and out of the wind. The debris hut requires no tools and no materials you didn't find on the ground. Prop a long branch at an angle against a forked tree or log, your ridgepole. Lean smaller branches along both sides to create a frame. Pile leaves, pine needles, and bark over the frame until the layer is at least 2 feet thick. Pack the floor with dry leaf litter. Insulation beneath you matters as much as insulation above you. The shelter should be just large enough for your body. Too large and your body heat can't warm the space. Build early, check wind direction, and keep the entrance facing away from it. You have water, fire, and shelter. In survival terms, you've stabilized. But stabilized doesn't mean rescued, and that gap is where the next skill lives. Most people in survival situations are found because a rescuer spotted them, not because they found their own way out. The universal distress signal is 3 of anything, 3 whistle blasts. 3 fires in a triangle, 3 flashes of light. Rescuers are trained to recognize this pattern. A single whistle blast sounds like a bird. 3 short blasts sound like a person in trouble. During the day, smoke is your signal. Add green leaves to your fire to produce thick, dark smoke visible for miles. At night, a bright fire is the signal. Smoke disappears into darkness. A signal mirror or any reflective surface, a phone screen, a foil blanket, can direct a flash of sunlight toward an aircraft from up to 10 miles away. And don't stay hidden. Dense forest feels safe, but it's invisible from the air. Move to clearings, ridgelines, or open ground. If you're with a vehicle and it's safe to stay, no fire risk, no flooding, stay with it. A car is far easier to spot than a person on foot. While you wait for rescue, someone may need medical attention. Emergency first aid in survival isn't about diagnosing illness. In many emergencies, what you do in the first 10 minutes determines whether someone is still alive when help arrives. It's about controlling the 4 things that kill people in the first hour: bleeding, airway obstruction, shock, and unstable fractures. For bleeding, apply direct pressure with the cleanest material available and don't lift it. Every time you check by removing the dressing, you disrupt clotting. For severe limb bleeding that pressure can't control, apply a tourniquet 2 to 3 inches above the wound and write the time on the person's skin. Medical responders need that information to prevent tissue damage from prolonged application. Shock presents as pale, clammy skin, rapid shallow breathing, and confusion. Lay the person flat. Elevate their legs if there's no spinal injury. Keep them warm and keep them calm. Don't give food or water. For fractures, immobilize the limb above and below the break, using whatever's available: branches, tent poles, rolled clothing. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to prevent movement. Take 5 seconds before acting. Assess, identify the priority, then move systematically. You've stabilized everyone. Now comes the survival need most people get dangerously wrong. Hunger is uncomfortable but not immediately dangerous. Misguided food searches have killed people who would otherwise have survived, burning more calories than you find, or eating the wrong thing entirely. In a short-term scenario, insects are your most practical option. Grubs, grasshoppers, ants, and crickets are high in protein, found almost everywhere, and safe when cooked. Remove wings and legs and cook them when possible. For plants, the honest guidance is simple. If you don't recognize it with certainty, don't eat it. The full edibility test takes most of a day per plant, not practical when you're already depleted. Avoid brightly colored berries you don't recognize, plants with milky sap, and mushrooms you can't positively identify. The real food skill in survival is energy conservation. Rest during the hottest part of the day, limit unnecessary movement, and drink water consistently. Your body manages without food far longer than most people believe. People have survived weeks without food. They don't survive poor decisions. All 6 of these skills depend on one thing working correctly. Not gear, not strength, your mind. Panic kills. The physiological response to extreme fear narrows vision, impairs memory, and accelerates decision-making to the point of randomness. People run when they should stay still. They drink water when they should purify it. Panic doesn't feel like irrationality. It feels like urgency. That gap is exactly where survival situations turn fatal. The technique survival instructors use is called STOP. Stop, think, observe, plan. When panic rises, physically stop. Sit down. Breathe deliberately, 4 counts in, hold 4, out 4. Give your nervous system 60 seconds. Then assess your resources honestly and make a plan. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be something. People with a plan consistently outperform people reacting moment to moment. Staying calm isn't a personality trait. It's a practiced response, and the best way to build it is to learn the other 6 skills, because confidence in your own competence is the most reliable antidote to fear. Each skill you know reduces the surface area that panic has to work with. Survival isn't about being extraordinary. It's about knowing a small number of things well enough to use them under pressure. Water before food, fire and shelter before dark. Signal early, treat injuries before they escalate. Eat cautiously, and through all of it, think before you act. If you've had a survival experience, something that tested you in the wilderness, in a storm, in any situation where you had to rely on yourself, share it in the comments. Those stories are worth more than any guide. If this video gave you something useful, subscribe. We cover practical skills like these every week. Because survival skills are the one thing you hope you never use and the one thing you can't afford not to have.